Hello and welcome to the Large and Unnecessary First Player Token podcast. This is episode 102. My name is Chris.
My name is David.
My name is Pawel.
Hello guys.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's good to be back. I wasn't here last week.
Oh, you weren't, yeah. What happened there?
I don't know.
Where were you?
Where was I?
Munich.
Was I in Munich? I wish I was in Munich.
Yeah, but
I like how you can't even remember if you were in Munich.
I was in Munich in the past.
That's what he has to say, though.
No, I was elsewhere. I can't remember. It's long past now.
With that accent, though, it does make him sound like a spy if he says he's in Munich and he can't remember.
I was never in Munich.
Did it all go smoothly? No loose ends?
No comment, nothing to report, and my report's already... it's fine. It's okay. Hello.
Hello. Okay, well, let's get on with this because last episode on 101 we did video games and we were gonna do a board games episode for this week as well instead, but that's not going to happen now because we're having to record this early. There's all sorts of scheduling problems in this busy month of December, so we're going to make the next episode a board games episode instead. So this is video games again this week. Sorry if you tuned in for board games, but...
Yeah, just blame Santa for this.
Or Pawel. You can blame Pawel.
And winter's coming as well, so we can blame that. Generally speaking, there's a lot of winter-themed stuff that's getting in our way. Like, I can't even cycle because it's slippy. And because I can't cycle, I just can't even come here in time.
You're right. What about the weather, boys? The weather's awful.
Can we have a spin-off episode about weather, please?
I'm sure this has been mentioned on several occasions. I think the weather podcast is our most popular spin-off podcast that has been mentioned. So
that's because Scotland has the most epic of weathers. This is the primary reason I came here, and Brexit is the close second.
You came here because of Brexit?
I came here because of Brexit. I wanted to stick something in Farage's eye.
Right, fair enough. There's a strong opinion for you. Okay, so we've got some video games to talk about this week. We're going to start off by following on from last episode, because we finally got into talking about Red Dead Redemption 2 last episode. And David mentioned that you'd had a quick go of Red Dead Online.
I did, yes.
And I have since had a quick go of it as well. I mean, I've maybe played for maybe 2 or 3 hours now. I jumped on last night to play a bit with an old pal of mine. Now, it's kind of strange. I mean, in Red Dead Online and the Red Dead Redemption 2 Online, it's still in beta, apparently. Although I can't really see what they're planning on changing, because it seems to be pretty fleshed out. You make a new character. You're not playing as Arthur or John Marston or anybody like that. You make your own character who is a silent protagonist. They never say anything. They just kind of nod during cutscenes and stuff. And they kind of make a sort of point in saying that, oh, you're the quiet type and all this sort of stuff. Like,
it's quite funny, actually.
Yeah. It's kind of strange though. I don't know. It doesn't really work for me because it feels like even the shyest of people would say something in these situations.
There's plenty of games that do it this way. Because the Destiny used to really annoy me about this, because I remember in like the first or 2 cutscenes in Destiny, your character was still making sounds and maybe saying a word or 2, and then for years Destiny characters have stopped talking whatsoever. It's just your ghost that speaks, and suddenly in the newest expansion your character just says a word, or possibly even half a sentence. I don't know what to think about it.
Well, I can understand why they did it, but it kind of makes sense.
But it's also lame. Stop doing this. I need voiced protagonists, please.
So you start off by doing this sort of weird tutorial style sort of opening mission where you're like a prisoner and you get broken out of the prison. You get broken out of a cart when you're being transported, and presumably, I think they mentioned that you're going to be executed or something like that. But
and it's all very mysterious, isn't it?
Yeah. There's not really any explanation as to why
you get chosen, because there's a whole bunch of guys in this cart, but you're selected.
But did you used to be sweet on a girl in Whiterun? And
yeah, it does have a very Elder Scrolls beginning. Yes. That has to be said.
Something about some sort of alcohol made of blueberries or something. Was that
skooma?
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that there's a story at all was slightly surprising to me, because it wasn't like that in the previous one. But there are story missions.
Yes, there are.
Alongside the sort of more regular, sort of repeatable missions that you could do in the previous ones, which are more what you would expect in this sort of thing. Like, rob a train, whatever, rob a bank.
Yeah.
Rescue somebody and so on.
I'm going to go ahead and say it. So now imagine this game with no NPCs. There's just pieces of paper scattered around Wild West, and you can pick them up. But it's just players running around with their 6 shooters.
Robots that you can talk to.
Well,
so instead of robots, you're going to have, I don't know, some sort of Wild West version.
So Pawel's
of
complaining
robot.
about having not played Fallout 76. He's complaining about it.
Yes.
You must hate System Shock, Pawel. I mean, that game must wind you right up. You'll be like furious by its lack of immersion and terrible atmosphere.
I recall playing System Shock. I think I enjoyed it.
I mean,
I think you've shut him up, Dave.
The first Red Dead Redemption Online
Touché.
didn't have much in the way of... I mean, the amount of dialogue that goes on in this is, to me, was surprising for a multiplayer game. I mean, maybe I don't play enough of them, and I'm sure if I played more MMOs and so on, I would be more used to this sort of thing. It wasn't what I was expecting for Red Dead, for there to be characters. Other than myself, I was expecting,
and it's different characters from the main game as well. It's not like any of these people, or what I've seen anyway.
The two horse guys though are in the main game. They're not major characters, but they are.
Oh, so they do exist. Okay, right,
maybe,
fair enough.
Yeah,
because it almost feels like they're kind of trying to make it like some sort of thing that's running in parallel.
There's
with the main
definitely
game.
there's new characters in it that I assume are not in the main game at all. So yeah, unexpected.
Well, I mean, it's kind of similar to what the main game is in terms of what, like, there's a sort of free roaming thing that you do. You can just run about in the map and do all the things that you can do in Red Dead 2. Sort of, you can do all that. You can hunt animals. You can go and try and break in a horse, and you can go to the shop and buy stuff. There's obviously some differences. One of the weirder differences is you can basically access the shop at any time. Because you've got a catalogue that you carry around with you. You can just open it up and go, buy that, buy that, buy that. I can understand why they did that as well, because it would probably be quite annoying if you had to keep running back to town to buy health things because other players keep shooting you.
Yeah, and if you were playing with friends as well, I think they'd lose patience with you rather quickly if you were constantly in the freaking shop cleaning your guns.
It's still, it doesn't stop people. Like, when I was playing with my friend last night, he kept saying, "Oh, I need to go to the shop and sell these, but I'll go to the butcher and sell these skins and stuff." I was just like, right, fair enough. But I think things are quite expensive in the online version. I don't know.
Yep.
I think they are more expensive than they are in the main game.
They are, and some of them can only be bought with gold.
Yes, gold. The online currency of gold. You still have your dollars.
You do, but I was looking like the horses, for example. The best horses in the game. In fact, not even the best ones. There's only a limited number of the horses that are in the game that you can buy with the dollars. The rest of them require microtransaction gold. I mean, you get some of that by playing the game.
Yeah,
you get pieces of a gold bar, I believe, and then that's a little bit upsetting. But then you don't really need the best horse in the game, so
that's it.
Yeah.
So have you played any more of it though, Dave?
No, I mean, I got enough to see the open world and see what was available to me, and then I turned it off.
Right, because I've run about and done some of the sort of stranger missions and stuff, and these are things like, I think you can only do them daily. Each stranger that's on the map, you can only do their quest daily.
I see.
And I think they give you like a different one every time. They tend to just involve like, so you can do them solo, but you can do them if you're teamed up with other people. Because you can form a little posse in this game, in the online thing. So you can form a posse, and it can be a temporary posse which only exists for that session that you're playing in. But you can make a persistent one. But it costs $200 of in-game money to make a persistent posse.
Right.
So, like, that's quite far off for me, because the amount of money that you actually make doing things in this game is pretty small.
Yeah.
And we haven't unlocked a fence yet or anything, so somebody to sell stolen goods to or anything.
Right.
So, or we haven't found one. I don't know. I don't know if one actually exists on the map somewhere and we just haven't seen it yet.
It's possible. I assume you're meant to grind a bit in this game.
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
And I guess the idea is you club your money together with a group of friends.
Well,
if you can even,
I don't know if you can give each
people
other money, though. I don't know if you can trade with each other. I've never actually thought about that.
Maybe you can't. Yeah.
So anyway, you can do that, but I mean, just making a temporary posse is fine. You just do that, and you team up with somebody, and you go and start do a stranger quest, and it's quite cool because the cutscenes, only the posse leader can start these things, but in the cutscenes, anybody that's in the posse is sort of standing about in the background and reacting to things as well. And
I like that I did a mission just with randoms. The tutorial mission, it just put in like 3 other people into the mission with me, and I could see them all, and they all had terrible characters. My character was way more awesome than theirs. They were really unimaginative.
So when you say terrible, do you mean they looked sort of normal, like a person would look?
I'll give you an example. All of them had there's one jacket, I assume you can get at the start. So everybody had that jacket on, because they're like, oh, well, I want the jacket. Not my guy. I was the only person. My guy looked amazing. I didn't have a hat on. They all had hats. The one hat you can have at the start. I was like, well, my guy's like balding. If I put a hat on, you won't be able to see
you'd hide his cool thing.
His epic balding head.
I will see. I made an old lady. I just thought that was the cool way to go.
Yeah,
I feel privileged to know you guys.
But it was funny being just dumped into a game with like random people I could talk to, and we went off to do this supposedly cooperative mission. I just went right in. They all like followed the road.
Was this the horse stealing mission?
Yes.
Yeah. 2 of the guys in my team didn't make it.
Yeah, one of the guys just stood still and didn't move. Someone else managed to die somehow. You have a sort of team life allocation, is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
To say we had two respawns for that mission.
That's right.
Which I thought was quite interesting.
So those are the instanced missions.
Yeah.
Because there are instance missions where like you do just get teamed up with random people, and it just makes a little area for you to do this mission and sort of thing. You go and do it, and I don't think anybody can. I don't think other players can interfere with that.
No,
because it's instanced.
You're the only ones on the map.
Yeah,
for that. Yeah.
But there are the other sort of strange, like this. Let's say the stranger quest things that you can do that aren't instanced, and you just do them on the map, and it might just involve you having to go to a place and kill a bunch of people.
There were like bandit camps as well, which are not instanced, and like some other guy turned up while I was raiding this bandit camp. Can you attack other people in the sort of non-instanced version?
Yes.
Yeah,
and this was a big thing.
About it because I just kept eyeing him like nervously. So and then I was like, maybe I'll attack him. Well, he's not expecting it.
So here's the thing, right? Because like, I have a bunch of complaints about this, like about Red Dead Online. Okay, and I mean, I understand it's in beta, but I mean, one of the things is that yes, you can attack other people, and that's understandable. I know, I can see why that's a thing.
You could do
we talked about like
in
Fallout 76. Like, what's the point in attacking somebody's base, for example?
Yeah.
There's really not much to be gained from attacking another player in Red Dead Online, but everybody does it.
Well, when I played the first Red Dead Online, it was a bit different, and it was exactly the same. You could just attack other players, and you wouldn't do it if you were on your own.
Yeah.
But once you're in a group, the temptation to just attack other players becomes very strong.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean,
and if it's another group, or if you see another group of players, you're like, should we just have a scrap with these guys? And it's totally pointless because it never ends.
Aye.
It's like the first team to just go like, right, we've had enough of this, because it just goes on and on.
And this is like I say, this is one of my complaints about it, because me and my pal last night were doing exactly that. We were just like, we ran into a place where there was a bunch of people. Somebody opened fire on somebody else, and that was it. It just turned into a free for all, right? And me and him just kind of rode about, ran about the place, shooting people, and it's so strange because you can just headshot somebody and that's it. They're down. That's it. They're dead. Okay.
And it sounds very realistic to me.
Because it's so easy to headshot somebody in this, because the auto-targeting is still a thing in Red Dead Online.
Yeah.
You can just aim near somebody, it auto-targets them, flick the controller up a little bit, headshot, bang. Like, they're dead.
Okay, sorry.
Now, the weird thing about this, right, is that when you it respawns you so close to where you died.
Yeah.
That it just happens again and again and again and again, and you just go through this massive cycle of everybody getting shot in the head, respawning, getting shot in the head again, respawning. Maybe you'll shoot somebody in the head, but somebody will shoot you again eventually, and everybody's just respawning and shooting each other. It's just weird.
I stay away from PvP games as far as I can, but my understanding is that over the past half a decade at least, there's been a lot of evolution of multiplayer games in order to prevent this sort of things from happening.
This is the thing, it doesn't give you the option of just respawning elsewhere. It's just, there's one button that says respawn, and then it respawns you somewhere close to where you died.
That is so weird.
And then, because everybody can see you on the map, like you go into
the
the
same
map
in
and there's just
Fallout.
little dots on the map that show you where all the players are.
Right,
It's
so you
like,
can't even
if
run away.
somebody's just trying to harass you, right, they will.
I think griefing is the word.
Yeah, grief you, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that sounds awful.
Yeah, that putting people on the map thing, it's the same in Fallout 76, and yeah, it allows you to... In Fallout 76, it allows you to find people so that you could make an ad hoc team with them.
Yeah.
But there's all... Yeah, it's the same. You just got to I'll just have to quit.
My last proper PvP experience was in what was the Tom Clancy thing in New York? What was it called?
The Division.
Division, yes, in the Dark Zone in Division, where it was generally rather exciting until people got experienced enough and equipped enough to start joining groups and hunting solo players in the Dark Zone. But even then, I think there was some ways to prevent players from being griefed. I eventually, quit playing that game because of the way Dark Zone was designed. Originally, it supposedly got better, but that was years ago. Whereas what you're talking about sounds like early...
It's just chaos.
Yeah.
I mean, what they want is for it to be quite free.
Aye.
And for people to,
Unless
have an amount of freedom. There's no point just remaking deathmatch like in other games.
It might be a commentary on nowadays America.
You're very political in this
I'm
episode.
feeling political today, yes.
Well,
you go and play with your guns.
I don't like. We've spent a lot of time talking about this actually. Well, more time than we'd intended to. So I just want to kind of get through a couple more of my points. One of the other things that pissed me off about this was that the missions are glitchy as hell. Like, trying to start one of the missions last night, for example, just a stranger mission. I was talking to a guy. He was like, "Okay, right, here's what you've got to do. Hang on a second and I'll show you where you need to go," or whatever it is, or "I'll take you there," or something like that. And he just sat there. And then we couldn't start any other missions. It just glitched out completely. And anytime I walked away from the guy, he went, "Oh, where are you going? Do you not want to do this?" And then he was just sitting there. And you couldn't do anything. You would go and target him, you press buttons, nothing happened. He just sat and looked at you and got annoyed when you tried to walk away from him. So we left the area. And still, we couldn't go and start anything else. Like, all the icons on the map disappeared, basically, because of this. So it was just... I don't know, like...
So a better
it just felt like all the complaints we had about Fallout 76 are just sort of coming into this Red Dead Online. It's like, it's the same things. And just, like, in general... Other than just having a bit of a laugh with your pals and getting a Red Dead experience with your pals, I didn't really see what the goal of this is. Like, I didn't understand what you're working towards.
That's why I turned it off. But
Yeah.
maybe there's more to... I mean, they're like, this is the beta period, and we've just got the bare bones of the game, and then it'll be perhaps more event-based in the same way that things like Fortnite are, where they'll have kind of like... Similar to idea to seasons, and things will be happening that people can somehow work towards together.
Maybe,
but that's
maybe,
just
maybe.
speculation. I have no idea.
But just like, it's like, well, we're running about and it's like, well, we can go and do this mission, but then it's also like, well, why? Like,
yeah, because
why
there's stuff
would we
you
go
can
and do
buy,
this?
there's stuff you can upgrade, but I was very disappointed by it. I was hoping it would be more like survivally.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, all that stuff that's in the single player game, all these cans of beans and peaches, and that doesn't really need to be there.
Yeah.
I was like, maybe this will now make sense in the multiplayer. But all that stuff I was very underwhelmed by it. I looked through all the upgrades for your camp and I was like, well, that's really boring.
Yeah,
I don't want to upgrade any of those. And it's like...
there's no benefit to it. It just makes it look different.
tiny benefits. And it was like, yeah, get the best horse. Well, then what?
Yeah, exactly. That's it. Because I mean, who knows where the actual story thing is actually going to go? But at some point that'll come to an end, and then you'll just be left free roaming.
Yeah, I mean, the story was the only interesting bit about it for me. I was like, oh, this story.
Yeah,
that was quite like with the women and giving you the whole whatever the spiel was about wanting revenge for her husband. I was like, oh, cool, it's a Red Dead thing. It's like, that's nice. But, yeah, drive-bys. That's what you need to do. I remember from when we played Red Dead Redemption, we managed to get 5 of us on at the same time, which is a rare occurrence.
Right.
Everybody could get into a stagecoach, we just drove around, we just rode around the map at full pelt, looking for people, and then did like synchronized fire on them. So it was like, everybody, wait, alright, now. Just like, and just annihilate them, and then we'd be gone.
Well, there you go. So that's the Red Dead Online experience summed up. Completely pointless, and all you do is harass people.
This would be a good subtitle for a game.
So yes, that's Red Dead 2 Online Beta. If you're just wanting a laugh with your pals, and like I say, you're getting that Red Dead experience with them, then it's there. But I mean, I don't see what the point in it is other than that.
It might get better.
It might get better. Yeah. We'll see where it goes. Let's say it's still in beta. So, okay, moving on. Dave, you've been playing a free game, haven't you?
Oh yeah. Well, there was a game that was for free. Well, not for free. It was on PlayStation Plus. Is it called?
Yep.
Which I now have. Called Burly Men at Sea by Brain and Brain Games, and this is it bills itself as a folktale adventure, and it has kind of folksy papercut style art. It has folksy sounding music with a lot of mouth noise instruments I've written down here. I don't know how else to describe that. If you've heard that before, you know what that is. Music's very good, and it features 3 men with beards. These are the aforementioned burly men who are at sea. So, I know, listeners, you'll be thinking, it's got men with beards. Well, this could go a number of different ways. So, I've got a music analogy for you to help determine what kind of game this is. Do you like the band Noah and the Whale in their song 5 Days Time? If you do, you will like Burly Men at Sea. If I told you there was a band called The Sea and Cake, and that was all you needed to know in order to go onto YouTube and check them out, then you will like Burly Men at Sea. Got one more.
Come on, hit us.
If you hear the words Neutral Milk Hotel, and that does not immediately fill you with seething rage, then you will like Burly Men at Sea. And that's
what? I don't get that one.
That's all I have to say about that game.
What? I need to YouTube that.
Is that it? Is that your review?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can tell you what I've been doing in Red Dead Redemption.
We need more reviews like this. Just quick musical comparisons.
It's available on PS4, Android, iOS, Vita, Switch, Windows, macOS, and also tvOS, which I don't even know what that is.
Yep. I've never heard of that.
I assume there's a version for
smart TVs or something.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say I assume the Atari Jaguar version has been delayed and will be out soon.
Okay, thanks very much, Dave.
I'm sorry, can I ask a question?
Sure.
It might be a premature, depending on how much you've actually played it. What sort of game is it?
It's a folktale adventure.
Yes, but is it a point and click or a bloody RTS or a first-person shooter?
Oh no, it's a mobile phone game. It's a little story game, and it's probably best played on a touchpad. But if you're getting it for free on PS Plus,
visual novel then.
No, I would.
Let's assign a genre to it.
It's kind of like a kid's storybook that you play through. And I'll tell you, you can play through it more than once, so it's actually super short. And the idea is you go through and play through it multiple times and take slightly different decisions, and slightly different things will happen.
Okay.
And it looks nice, and there's music where there's a guy going.
That was. Thank you very much for this. This
very
was
descriptive.
This was excellent.
Any further questions? I refer you to my previous review.
I'm going to limit my questions now to only one. So, what are the names of the men?
They do have names. They're I can't remember. One of them's called Sturdy Beard. One of them's called.
Oh, so it's like Posh Spice and Sporty Spice.
Curious Beard. One of them's I can't remember. Something like that.
So we have
Hasty Beard. Hasty Beard is one of them.
Pasty.
Hasty
Beard.
Yep.
Okay then.
Forthright Beard. I don't know.
I think you've answered my question. Thank you.
I'm not sure he has. Okay, Burly Men at Sea, A Spy Brain and Brain. It came out on the 29th of September 2016.
I am as puzzled as I was at the beginning of this interview.
Well, Pavel, now's your chance to confuse Dave.
Hello.
What you been playing?
It's actually not going to be terribly confusing because my interview will be precise and to the point.
Please tell me it's for Assassin's Creed Pineapples or whatever one we're up to now. Because I've been waiting for ages to hear you talk about this.
I know, and I've actually played a bit of I've probably played more of this Assassin's Creed than any other Assassin's Creed in the past. Having said that,
Not
the
enough.
curse continues. I
okay.
pick up an Assassin's Creed game, I play it for the day, and then it just sort of waits until I decide that I've run out of hard drive space on my PlayStation, delete it to make some room for more exciting games, and then just forget that I ever had it. So at the moment, the newest Assassin's Creed is still on my PlayStation. I keep thinking that maybe I'll get back to it.
Oh well. What are you going to tell us
But
about
I did get a ship, and I shot some arrows and javelins on other ships.
I approve of that.
And I rammed them as well.
Did you take
Amazing.
Steve the horse with you?
Well, this is
There's
fine.
horses.
This is pretty
no
much what I
steeds.
have been doing in Red Dead Redemption 2. That's my current. Well, it's been my mission for some time to to get my horse Steve onto a boat and take him to the centre of the lake. And a couple of days ago, I finally achieved it, and I was so pleased with myself.
That's what the screenshot was about. I saw the screenshot, and as much as I'm often puzzled, I was my new favorite word is perplexed, and that's what I was when I saw it.
Yep.
Okay, so
I'm going to make a video.
well done.
People can check that out.
So
Well,
very
Dave,
proud
you
of
need to put the screenshot up on Twitter.
Yeah, I'm going to make. I'll make like a wee social media thing.
Yeah.
And promote it.
And we're gonna make Steve our honorary Twitter
Steve the
uploader.
horse. All hail.
Right. Sorry, Pawel.
Hello. So I would like to review a game. Ghost 1.0 is a Metroidvania, and this is probably the most important words we can assign to this game because it should probably answer most people's questions. Unless you
Yeah,
guys
can we
have
move
any
on?
further. Yes. Are you not a fan then?
Can you make this as short as Dave's review of Burly Men at Sea?
Okay, let's
And with references to bands.
right.
Preferably Polish metal bands.
Yeah.
Are there any?
Or
metal,
are there any?
Can I just say that metal is banned in Poland because it's a Catholic country and metal is obviously pagan? Right, my goodness.
I'm not sure that's true.
Well, okay, well...
I mean, my only experience when I went to Poland was that the only song that I heard being repeated over and over again was what's that song? Rock Me Amadeus.
Oh, your favourite one, yeah.
It's a song that you never hear in this country. We know it exists, but for some reason when I went to Poland it was just on every music channel.
I take no responsibility for that. Right.
Metroidvania, because what the world desperately needs is more Metroidvania games.
So Dave is a fan.
I am, though. They are good. They are good.
I'm going to say,
There's a reason for this, Dave.
I don't play a lot of Metroidvanias,
No.
and I've never played Metroid. But I have played Ghost 1.0.
This does beg the question if you played Vania, though.
I play...
Have you played Castlevania?
Yes, actually, I have
there
a
we
go.
long,
You have
long
played
time
one of the
ago. Is that the
originals.
one? Is that the one with a whip
Yes.
and bats?
Yes.
Yes, I have.
Those were classic.
It was. I was probably a little. What do you say, bairn? You don't say child in Scotland, dear listeners. You say bairn to confuse the English.
Well, some English people say Baird as well.
Yeah.
Do they?
Yeah.
Is it like people from
Like
Yorkshire?
Geordies and stuff.
Oh, those.
Yeah.
I've heard of those as well, yeah. I'm gonna now talk about Ghost 1.0. We're doing well so far. When I say Metroidvania, I'll quickly just say that it's essentially that means it's a two-dimensional platforming sort of bullet hellish game where you just shoot at a lot of moving targets whilst moving your character about. And there's platforms. Moving on from that, this particular game is set in a sort of cyberpunkish world, which obviously makes it much, much better than any other concept. You're playing as a digital entity that is capable of sort of possessing or taking over robots. So you have the story goes that your two handlers, people that have hired your digital self, although it's not immediately obvious that you're actually digital. You're a ghost. You're a sort of uncorporeal entity that can possess electronics. Yes. So you've been hired as an agent to infiltrate an orbital station, which is sort of the main factory producing robots that are immensely popular planet-side. Because corporations are always evil in Cyberpunk, because that's pretty much what they are anyway. Your two protagonists, your two handlers, a hacker named... there's a fat, bearded hacker named, I can't remember actually, Jacka, I think he was, and his engineer friend called somebody else. Oh no, it's Bugan and Jacka. That's the names of the guys. They're a bunch of sort of friendly, naive and amateur dudes, sort of your garage band level hackers, who somehow found enough money to hire a professional. And this professional is the person you actually play.
Which garage band?
The garage band called Booger and Jacka. I don't know.
All right.
There we go.
So if you had to compare the professional, though, like to a band, then...
my knowledge of bands is limited.
Well, come on, you got to know a band.
What? I know a band. But I'm going to move on. So you have your main robot body, which gets sort of printed in the 3D printers on the station. So when you get destroyed, then your sort of your body gets reprinted in your earliest, let's say, save point in the end. As in that's what it is. But you can also jump out of your main robot body and sort of jump into your enemies, or at least some of your enemies, if you choose so. Other than that, your main robot body you can upgrade with various weapons, equipment, and additional, I suppose, functionalities. And you spend most of your time running around in this particular robot body and shooting at various targets, as I mentioned. What should I say about it as well? There is a story in the game. And plenty of humor, quite a lot of fourth wall breaking actually, a lot of references to various other cyberpunk tropes. The game is quite self-aware and actually can be pretty funny at times, fully voiced and the like, so pretty high production values. There's boss fights and stuff, and they're reasonably challenging, as in, I don't play Metroidvanias that much, so I would have died at least once during each of the boss fights, and some of them had me die like 5 times, 7 times. Let's say 7, so that it doesn't sound very sad. But it was never frustrating, which is what some games tend to be when I play them. So the addictive aspect of just wanting to explore another room, because essentially every your entire sort of labyrinth of various, I suppose, procedurally generated, although I can't be sure, rooms is quite immense, I must say. You just keep uncovering more and more rooms. Most of them are about shooting. Some of them will have various puzzles. You're just, collecting items to unlock more doors and open up more rooms and shoot more stuff. I had lots of fun playing this game, I must say. And yeah, I should probably just focus a little bit more about the ghosting aspect of this game, because I imagine that just shooting is what all Metroidvanias do.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
How's the music in this game?
It's a video game music. It's nice.
Would you say?
It's not a soundtrack that
Would you say it was quite similar to perhaps to the music of the band Darzamat? Or would you say it was more like Pyroria?
Luckily, and I say it truthfully, luckily I do not know either of those bands.
So, can you translate that, though? Those are clearly Polish bands.
Oh my god, show me that. If you presume that either of those are actual Polish words, you might be right.
I assume Pyroria is what it sounds like. Well, you can see it's spelt with RRHEA at the end, so it's fiery poop, basically.
All right. Okay.
What's this one, Pawel?
Darzamat? That is certainly not a Polish word.
Oh,
I'm so sorry.
Continue.
Yes. What else is there to say about
the ghosting?
The game. The ghosting, yes.
Ghosting, yes.
It would have been a solid game of this particular genre already, but the ghosting aspect is actually pretty interesting. I think once you jump out of your robot body, you get to move around the map freely without having to worry about walls or platforms, anything like this. And most of your enemies you can take over once you do that. Then obviously this presents you with more tactical options, additional weapons, usually fairly short life. Your chassis is still there, and obviously if it gets destroyed, do I say this word correctly? Chassis. Once it gets destroyed, then it's pretty much you have to go back to your save point. You essentially have to just reprint your main body to keep exploring, because your ghost form cannot, on its own, cannot change rooms. But if you possess another robot, then in it you can keep exploring rooms. You just cannot interact with objects, so you cannot unlock further 3D printers elsewhere in the Nakamura station. So most of your environmental puzzles are dependent on you taking over various robots, putting them in various spots, stuff like that. There is plenty of unlocks in the game, and I spent a good, 10 hours maybe going through the whole campaign, maybe even 15 to be fair. It was a solid chunk. And I've not even unlocked, I've not unlocked more than 1/3 of all the skills you can get. And some of those are clearly opening up completely different gameplay styles that you would go for as a default. Because I just focused on, I suppose shooting more efficiently and being more resistant and blah, blah, blah. Just the boring stuff. But I've noticed that you could essentially almost weaponize your ghost form. The ghost form, the only thing it can do really is, collecting sort of energy, which is your currency in this game, sort of like in Dark Souls. You collect energy, if you die, then obviously you lose all of it, stuff like this. If you're able to reach, in some of the rooms that you're going to have sort of shops, essentially, where you can buy upgrades, better weapons, or advanced versions of the weapons you have. There's plenty of weapons. Again, I've only used maybe 3 or 4 out of at least 20 that I saw being there. I tend to focus on what I can actually efficiently use without having to learn more advanced weapons, because I'm bad at these games. But my point is, I noticed that you can actually spend your whatever character advancement points experience on stuff like shield for your chassis when it's empty, when you're outside. Significantly more hit points for your chassis when you're outside, which essentially means that some probably more advanced players than I am use ghosting during combat situations, which is something I've not even attempted in this game. I've only done it for puzzles and to reach certain platforms I wouldn't be able to reach otherwise, because quite often in this game you'll have to take over another robot just to maybe jump elsewhere or open a door or something like this. Anyway, so ghosting is an important part here. And a very solid game.
I have a question.
Please. Very excited.
What other Metroidvania games have you played? Have you played a lot?
No.
Okay. Right, but I was just wondering what it is about this game in particular that actually really grabs you.
I mean, apart from the fact that it's a game that I started playing wondering... got the game...
Well, is it the aesthetic? Because I know that you really like these kind of things.
I do. And the art is pretty cool in this game. All the sort of cutscenes are animated, and the characters were likable from beginning. And I think this is the humor in all the cutscenes is what initially... and maybe the self-awareness, because... When it started, I thought this was a game about those two hackers, or a hacker and his friend engineer, who kept preparing to infiltrate the corporation's the Nakamura station, yeah. And they kept talking about how white male protagonists tend to feature in games of this particular genre. And I thought they were talking about themselves being all heroic and how they're going to do it. And then suddenly you realize you play a female, whatever, agent, things like this. It was just constantly a nice, I'm going to say, ratio between action and bits of story. And you can feel that the game's being developed by a small team. I think it was actually just one guy, plus maybe a few people that helped him along the way.
Well, yeah, I'm just looking at that actually. It's made by a guy that made Unepic, which is a game I have seen before, but I haven't played. But that does feature a white male.
There you go.
So maybe they were having a dig at that. But according to this though, it is that guy, but. It was in collaboration with an unnamed development team.
All right. Well, as I said, the actual production values are pretty high, and you can see a lot of time and talent spent on this game, and I think it went quite well. But obviously, if I see something that's cyberpunk, if I see something that features a word Nakamura, I'm gonna play it no matter what. I'm gonna give it a second or third chance before I get discouraged.
Do you know what game features the word Nakamura quite heavily?
Go for it.
It's a game that Chris and I have been playing quite a lot recently. It's in a sort of post-apocalyptic world where you run around and play. Yeah, you should check it out, man.
Are we talking about your bloody Fallout 76 thing? Jesus.
Did we find his corpse, Dave?
Probably.
We did find a lot of corpses in the list of names in that computer.
Do you like looting corpses?
So, yeah. Do you have any other questions? Because as far as I can say, I think this is all I can talk about in regards to Ghost 1.0. I'm not exactly sure why it's 1.0, but it's a really solid game. I can definitely recommend it.
Okay, good. Dave, do you have any band-related questions for Pawel?
I was going to try and make some sort of joke about Chopin, but I'll just make your own joke.
If this was music-related, I believe you.
This is the state this podcast is in right now. You have to make up your own jokes when you're listening to it. Okay, well, thank you, Pawel. So that is developed and published by Francisco Franfristro or something. Teles de Meneses.
No, that's cool.
Okay, that came out on June the 7th, 2016. It is on Windows. What are you playing on?
I played it on Steam because I tend to.
So it is on Steam, yeah. Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, Wii U, and Xbox One, but I think all those sort of console editions came later. Okay. Cool.
If you like Metroidvanias and have PlayStation Plus, there's one that's just come out in the December. It's called Iconoclasts, or Iconoclast. I can't remember one of the two, but that's doesn't have any ghosting, and I can't vouch for its quality or otherwise. I played a little bit, and it seems quite good. But yeah,
I'll have a look on YouTube.
It's not Cyberpunk, Pawel. Oh well, although
it's scoring -2 on my list immediately. What sort of genre is it then?
Metroid.
No, but in terms of story or setting,
it has a real weird like JRPG feel to it. Actually, it looks a little bit like Cave Story. It's that pixely art, but I've only played a little bit. But they keep talking about all this ominous stuff, and they don't explain everything. So it's very similar to playing like a Final Fantasy game. It reminded me of Final Fantasy VII so much, where they just start talking about all this stuff, and you only find out what these things are much later.
That sounds JRPG.
They're talking about the concern, and there's a whole religious overtones, and there's a big corporation, and there's like the upper world where
Did you say corporation?
Well, yeah, but they're like tied in with religion, and you can get up to I can't remember what they call the big saucer, whatever the big saucer equivalent is in this game. But everyone's living down below in their sort of tumbled houses, and the other people want to keep it that way for some reason. And
they tend to, don't they? Yeah. Are you being political now?
No. It's weird how much for a game that's about jumping and climbing and shooting monsters and getting to places, every so often you have to stop and have long conversations with little pixely people.
Funny you should mention that, because I have a feeling, but correct me if I'm wrong, that quite a lot of games like this are pixel art nowadays. And this might be one of the reasons why I actually grabbed Ghost 1.0, because the graphics there are actually, again, I'm going to use the word solid. For some reason that just fits. No more pixel art. Just play a game with proper graphics for once. Proper.
I don't know where to go with this, Pawel.
No, there's so much pixel art nowadays.
It's because it's easy.
You do know all games are made of pixels, though. Like,
no.
Ultimately.
World is made of pixels. We all live in a hologram.
Yeah.
That's okay. I can deal with that.
That reminds me of a time that me and one of my friends were going for a walk one day, and it was a really, really nice day, and he's a bit of a geek like me, and instead of saying it was a nice day, he said, "Good graphics today." I enjoyed that immensely. Right, well, let's move on, because we've got one more thing to talk about, one more thing to squeeze into this episode. So couple of months, maybe 3 or 4 months ago now, actually, one of the many games on my Steam wishlist came up as being on sale, and I thought, you know what, I might just take the plunge with this one, because it's been sitting there for a while. So I went for it. I couldn't remember exactly why I put it on my Steam list, but I think it's because this is a bit of a roguelite style game, but a strange one. It's different. It's definitely different. This is Renowned Explorers International Society. It's a bunch of things, this game, actually, and it feels, I think, Pawel, you thought this was a mobile game, didn't you?
You are yet to convince me it isn't.
It isn't. It's not.
I also...
Yeah.
Although it was on my Steam wish list too, I think in the back of my mind I was like, I'll probably pick this up on mobile.
Yeah. And the thing is, I can totally understand that, because this does look a bit like a mobile game, and I can see it being played as a mobile game, because it doesn't really need to... Like, you know, I'm playing it on PC, and it doesn't really need to have that sort of keyboard and mouse combination. You don't need it. You could just play this touchscreen. So like I say, it's a bunch of things. The idea here is that you create a little party of explorers, and it's got this sort of... They're really, really vague about the sort of time setting of this, so it definitely has that sort of Indiana Jones feel to it, but I'm pretty sure there was a lot of references to modern things in it. But they're deliberately vague about it. You know, the idea is that you're just exploring certain places, and when you start the game, you have to pick a little team of guys. Now, there's 20 characters. Now, 5 of them are available to be your captain of your little team. So only one of those... only 5 of those people are available. Or no, 4. I think it might be. So you have to pick one of those, and then you can pick any 2 other people from the 20 to be your little sidekicks. And... picking a captain gives you certain benefits, but we'll get into that later. And then you get thrown into this sort of tutorial thing, and you get put on an island. It's somewhere like, sometimes it's the Scottish Highlands, sometimes it's like somewhere completely different. There tends to be somewhere in Europe, I think, for the starting things, but it can be different every time you start the game. And you get these little nodes so points on the map, and they connect up to other ones, and you can just travel to them, and then you might have like an encounter of some sort or some little event. And this game really surprised me by how deep it went, because when it comes to sort of doing things like events, it'll come up with something, and there'll be a little story sort of thing happens, and it's really light-hearted, this game. It's not sort of deep, and it's not got masses of lore, Pawel, or anything like that. It's not going to throw huge chunks of story at you. Actually, the sort of little bits that it gives you tend to be very, very small bits of text, but you know, descriptive enough that it gives you an idea of what's going on. It could just be something as simple as, you know, you encounter a bunch of wolves, but you could have the option of trying to run away from those wolves or hide from them. And this is where your different characters can come into play, because all the characters have these different things going on with them. So the different traits that can be trained, you can learn new ones. Some of them are things like quick thinker, some of them are, they might be engineering, it could be they're beguiling or something like that, I can't remember what it is, but they're sort of like roguish sort of traits that they can have, and there's bunches of different ones. I don't really see what the difference is between them, but so you can have like 3 engineering traits on a guy, and it could be just like, mathematics, or they can create engines or something like that. And it just seems that the more of those types, the more of the engineering traits you have, the better they are at the engineering thing, basically. And so when you get a little event, it might say like, oh, okay, you can try and run away. Who's going to try and lead the escape from these wolves or whatever? And you'll get these sort of percentage chances on your different characters, and that's related to some stats. It could be quick thinking, it could be, hiding or whatever. And you get this little, you click on one of them, it gives you the percentage chance, and then you choose one of the guys, and then a little wheel will spin, and it'll show you whether you succeeded or failed, depending on that percentage chance. But, it could end up that you just go into a fight. And if you go into a fight, it turns into a weird sort of like, almost XCOM sort of style fight, which is really interesting. It's sort of turn-based strategy style thing.
Now you're talking.
Yeah, and it really, really surprised me, because it's not, totally in-depth, but there's a bunch of different ways that you can fight in this game. So there's 3 ways that you can fight, and this is where like the fighting gets a wee bit confusing, because you can do aggressive, which is basically just hitting things, but you can also be devious or friendly. So you can try and win a fight by being really friendly and just sort of convincing the other opponents that what you're doing is the right thing.
So you have to be tactically devious or friendly.
Well, yes, and the different characters, like, there's different stats. So, like, they have speech power, they have speech defense, they have armor, they have, like, attack, a sort of physical attack stat. They also have something called grit, which is basically like a dodge ability sort of thing, and people tend to have quite low grit at the start of the game. You can build it up later on by getting items and shit like that. And now, the sort of deviousness and the friendliness are all reliant on speech, but your speech power and your speech defense, if somebody tries to do that to you, and your aggressive thing is just reliant on your physical.
You can defend yourself from other people's friendliness.
Yes, you can.
Because you should.
So you can have speech defense and stuff like that.
Very good.
But there's a weird thing goes on, because there's almost like a rock, paper, scissors thing going on as well. There's 2 different bars at the top of the screen. One of them just tells you what your overall strategy has been in this fight, whether it was mostly aggressive, mostly devious, mostly friendly. Okay? And at the end of the fight, you can get different rewards depending on what you did. Then it tells you at the beginning of the fight what you're going to get. So, like, you tend to find that, the harder one to do, you're going to get more rewards out of. So if you're mostly friendly, say, and that's the hardest option in this fight, then you're going to get better rewards out of it. Okay,
cool. Good,
but the rock, paper, scissors thing is the other bar, and this is where it gets really strange, because that gives an overall overview of what you have been like recently in the fight, if you see what I mean. So, like, the past sort of couple of rounds or whatever. So if you are really aggressive, then it will say aggressive at the top of the screen. But there's the rock, paper, scissors thing is friendliness will beat deviousness, deviousness will beat aggression, and aggression will beat friendliness. So if you've been really aggressive and the other team have been really friendly, you're going to get some sort of bonus out of that because you're beating them in the rock, paper, scissors thing.
Alright.
But the opponents, especially when you get into the later sort of explorations, they can switch their tactics. And it's quite difficult for you to switch your tactics because, like I say, it's sort of like an overview of how you've done in the last few rounds. So if suddenly they're being really friendly and you've been really aggressive, but they then switch to deviousness, then they're going to get some sort of bonus against you. And that can be something like it can reduce all your speech defense or something like that. And that can be quite crippling against an enemy that's just constantly throwing insults at you with their deviousness, basically.
Alright.
So it's kind of strange, and I like the fact that the characters they all start the game with like an aggressive attack, a devious attack, and a friendly attack, but as they level up and go through, they can unlock different abilities. So you can have people that end up with an area attack thing that's really aggressive or something like that. But on top of all that, some of the attacks, so like your devious attack might, for example, for one person, it might cause your opponent to become terrified if their mood is negative.
debuffs.
So so it can start to debuff them, and terrified opponents might have less armor or something like that, or it can make them sad, or you can actually, by being really friendly to them, you can make them excited, and when they're excited, they're like more susceptible to normal aggressive attacks or something like that. So there's so many, like, it goes a lot deeper than you think it does for a game that looks quite simple. And you know, the whole time you're moving your characters around the map, the battle map and stuff like that, doing, you know, they've got movement points and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, there's actually quite a bit going on when it comes to the fights, and the fights are the main part of the game. This is where you're going to succeed or fail, basically, because you start the game with like a certain number of, I can't remember what the word it is used, it's basically lives, and if somebody goes down in a fight, you lose one of those lives, and if it ever becomes 0, game over. And because this is like a roguelite style game, when it's game over, if you're playing it in the classic mode anyway, there is another mode where you can just basically keep going. But if you're playing it in the classic mode, which is what I've been doing, and it's reasonably difficult, then that's it. You're done. You have to just go back and start a new game.
Anything that you would have unlocked?
So you can unlock the other characters as your captains. So like I said at the start of the game, there's only 4 or 5 that you can choose from as your captain. But if you complete a certain number of expeditions with one of the other people in your crew, you can then use them as your captain. And I think that's the general idea, because the whole purpose of this game is to work up these renown points. And renown comes from just doing various things, and God, there's like another layer to this game that I haven't even explained yet to do with all this renown and stuff like that. But the whole idea is that you want to try and get to the top of this leaderboard where your rival is sitting. He's got like 2,500 renown points, and as you go through your expeditions, you'll be building up points and trying to get offload him. And you meet him a few times as you're going through the game, and sometimes one of his little sidekicks will fight you and try and stop you from getting to a treasure that you're trying to get to or something like that. You know, it's all, like I say, it's all very Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
You know, running through pyramids in Egypt, and you know, going to Hungarian forests, and there's like it's cool. The aesthetic of it's pretty cool. The characters are kind of like a manga-esque almost sort of style drawing. Like they have all those, you know, those facial expressions that they like to use in Japanese cartoons and stuff like that whenever something bad happens. And there's some humour in it as well. Definitely when you go to the Highlands, there was somebody there that accused us of being like English something or other, like English twits or something like that. Yeah, and actually I had one of the characters on my team was an English guy, and he reacted very badly to that insult.
So English is one of the characteristics
Oh yeah, so everybody's got, like, all the characters have all got nationalities.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
And they all have their own personalities as well. So like, there are certain things that come up during the events, and you might have a hidden option there because one of your characters is like greedy, for example, and they're just like, so like sometimes when you go through one of the sort of the end expedition tomb things or something like that, where you're trying to get to a treasure, sometimes you can't stop one of the characters on your team from picking a certain option because they're just that greedy that they're just like, no, I'm taking this.
That's
and then they end up cursed or something like that, you know. it's pretty cool. Like there's a lot of thought gone into it. There's a lot of just little things that pop up that you're just like, oh right, I've never seen that before. The other layer of the game that I was telling you about is that as you go through these events and stuff, you pick up tokens. So, like, you'll pick up different types of token, and certain captains might get more renowned for getting certain types of token. And there are things like encounter tokens. If you win encounters, you might get loads of encounter tokens. You might get, like, treasure tokens. You might get, I can't remember what the terms for them are, but there's, like, science tokens and stuff like that. And then in between expeditions, you go to this sort of hub area where you can go to different parts of the world and just like hire followers who will give you bonuses of some sort. Like, you know, followers might say for every gold token you take, you get an extra 5 gold or something like that. And you can like buy equipment that'll make your character stats better. There's a research tree for your science points where you can unlock things that will, you know, make things better for you. And there's loads of different options. There's not loads compared to some games, but there's plenty there.
It does sound like there's plenty more than I thought.
Oh, aye. There's a lot more to this game than it seems on the surface, and I keep going back to it. Like, I keep going back and just like turning it on and playing it. It's like I'll play through an expedition and see how I get on, and I'll maybe pick these different characters, and you know, some characters work better with others. Like, you know, the English guy that I was telling you about, he's a good tank. So like, even though he just looks like a very posh English man, he's actually an excellent tank, and he has a taunt ability. So you can pair him up with your glass cannon characters. to keep them off the glass cannons, basically. And I love a glass cannon character, so
especially when they are super friendly.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But that's like, there's just so much going on in this game, and I love it. It's just fun to play.
Is the whole if you think about from first to last expedition, how many hours would you say?
Not very many, actually. Maybe like a couple hours to play through one thing, and most of the time you'll fail on the first proper expedition. Like I found that getting through that first proper expedition and getting enough money together, for example, to buy new equipment, or the culture tokens or whatever the hell they are, the green ones, so that you can get more followers and all that sort of thing. Just getting through that is a big enough step to actually get you through the next couple, if you see what I mean. Because I failed so many times in the first proper expedition, and that's only been like half an hour,
right.
just to get to that failure state. But yeah, I mean, it's a roguelike game which has got a sort of tactical turn-based fighting thing in it, and this is good. I mean, I can't really complain about it.
I'll have to have a look.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think you'll enjoy it, and it can take. It did take me like a couple of playthroughs to get my head round what was going on, and when you pick your captain, you have to look at what their captain ability is, because their captain ability might be you'll get more renown for doing certain things, so you have to really focus on those things.
I'm sure it's still going to be easier than this bloody cultist simulator. I've attempted to play that so many times, and I still cannot just wrap my head around it.
Cultist simulator's hilarious. Any questions?
Steam, yeah?
Yes, it's on Steam.
Right.
It's on Steam. In fact, I think it's like pretty much a PC only thing. Well, Linux, Windows, OS X, and it's been out like since 2015. So this isn't a new game.
Okay.
And I think it's sat on my Steam wishlist for quite some time. And I'm actually really glad that I've picked this up, because it's been a lot of fun, and it's like I've had a couple of train journeys to do over the past sort of week, and most of those train journeys has just been playing this game.
I shall definitely have a look. And maybe not even on YouTube.
Pawel,
hello.
Is this game an RPG?
No. Why? I don't play only RPGs. In fact, when I looked at my Steam, I've realised that the majority of games I play on PC are either RTSs or, I suppose, team-based and turn-based RPGs.
I just wanted your opinion as the podcast's RPG expert as to whether this game was or wasn't an RPG.
As an authority on RPGs, I can assess that this game is not an RPG.
I actually think that this game would make a good tabletop RPG. I think there's a good set.
You can make an RPG just about based on anything, but
yeah, but I said a good one.
Yeah, by all means,
like an Indiana Jones-esque.
Yeah,
just explorers.
Yeah,
going about
anything pre-industrial. But
is that one of the things that
it would fall into Steampunk probably?
Is that one of the things that would make a game an RPG?
Just opportunity for storytelling.
not anything pre-industrial.
There are little opportunities for storytelling. In fact, there's another thing that happened in this game. In fact, one of the characters I'd taken with me, we found like some tribal people who were having a dance around the fire and stuff, and it was like, oh god, they're going to attack us or something. But actually what happened, it turned out that one of the characters I had with me, his personality, he liked dancing. And he just burst in and started dancing with the people, and they accepted us and gave us food and supplies and all this sort of stuff. It was great. There's little things like that in this game that are just like, it's brilliant. So yeah, there are little sort of character story moments and stuff like that. It's fun. It's a lot of fun, Pawel. You should check it out.
That's okay. You're a Briton, so it's in your blood to go to other lands and pillage them. It's okay. I understand that.
Actually, the captain I've been using most right now is Dutch.
That's thematic.
I did have an American, I think, for a while. No, I didn't. No, it was another British guy actually. He was from Manchester. He used a gun. He was a glass cannon. Yeah.
I'll have a look. I'm quite curious now.
Okay, yes, that is Renowned Explorers. That is by Abbey Games. Okay, right. Well, that's episode 102, so we will give out all our internets. If you want to email us, you can do so at firstplayertoken@gmail.com. I'm going to stop there for a second because one of the things that we've just been discussing before we started this podcast is that we really, really, really want some feedback. Right? We want to know what it is that you like about the podcast, what it is you don't like about the podcast. If you particularly hate something, then please tell us.
Or someone.
Because we want to improve. Or someone.
We can always change that.
We do want to improve the podcast. We're talking about doing some other things to try and push the podcast forward a bit more, particularly after the new year, once the madness of December settles down. But, over the next few weeks, we're going to keep asking. So, if you do have anything that you want to say to us, good or bad, they're both equally useful. Do let us know. So our email address, again, is firstplayertoken@gmail.com. It's FIRST. You can also contact us on Facebook and Twitter, and we also have a Discord, which is discord.me/firstplayertoken. You can find us on SoundCloud, iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube. We have a PSN community. We are on Twitch. Again, everything is FIRST player token, the exception being Twitter and Twitch, which are 1ST player token.
Oh, that's once player token.
Thank you very much, Dave. And also, we are part of the Podnose Network.
The UK's leading entertainment podcast network!
Yay!
You've got a different radio voice from Euan. I do like those differences, that's nice. So yes, if you want to go and check out Podnose, it's a network of podcasts, which we are a part of, and you can go to podnose.com and check all those out. There's some pretty good ones on there. Any news on the Podnose front? Does anybody know? Is the Patreon still running?
I believe so. It's going well.
I'm glad to hear it.
Smashing it. Smashing those targets. Do Patreons have targets?
Yeah, I think they do. Yeah, they have
there we
goals.
go. Yeah,
they have certain goal levels.
That's what's happening.
Yeah, we're smashing those goal levels. So yes, again, podnose.com if you want to go and check that out. So yes, we'll hopefully have a board gaming episode for you for episode 103. In fact, I'm just going to say it now, it will be a board gaming episode because we've got some board games on the way, so they should be here by then. I'm including non-Kickstarter things in that because I have ordered a couple more. So yes, we should have a pile of board games to play our way through and talk about.
Wow, we've now committed, and it's all dependent now on Royal Post. Royal Mail even, one of those.
I don't know what you're talking about, that I am definitely not an employee of them.
No, definitely.
Okay, so until then, thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.